Unmute. Start video. And share. Let's see what works.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. You all very well. Oh, okay. Can hear.
No, but
DTs can hear. DTs can hear. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for coming this morning. And you all very well know, whoever heard my classes before, I'm not qualified.
ecstatic classes. Yeah.
No. It's
Wonderful class.
What do you say? Even service and order that I'm here. I tried to say no a few times, but didn't work this time. So here I am. Let's begin today's this particular session by remembering Lord, by traditional way that Prabhupada always did, by chanting Jai Radha Madhav. And I'm known for my singing skills, right? My kids knows. So please support me in any way you can. She'll play. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabh Girivaridhari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabh Girivaridhari. Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabh Girivaridhari. Yashoda Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braj Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabh Girivardhari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Gopijan Vallabh Girivardhari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare राधा गोपीचंद वाला भगवान की जय राधा पति की जय भगवान. So now you can understand how the class is going to be. Okay. That is one of my bucket lists. So before I leave this body, I want to be able to sing. So once again, thank you very much for gathering today. I am not qualified, but the subject matter is, right? So that is the only hope that I have. That's the only confidence that I have to be able to sit here. Your heart desire, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Sarisatem Vyasam Tato Jayir Mudiryate. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namo. So today's verse is Canto 3, chapter 26 and verse number 6. Evam parabhidhyanena kartatvam prakrite puman karmasu kriyamaneshu guneratmin manyate. Evam parabhidhyanena kartatvam prakrite puman कर्मसु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते. एवं पराब्धि ध्यानेन कर्तृत्वं प्रकृते पुमान् कर्मेषु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते. Anyone like to repeat?
Evam Paravidhyanena.
Evam paradhyanena kartatvam prakrite puman karmashu kriyamaneshu guneratmani manyate.
Evam Paravidhyanena.
Evam paradhyanena kartatvam prakrite puman कर्मषु क्रियमाणेषु गुणैरात्मनि मन्यते. Evam parabhidhyanena kartatvam prakrite puma karmashu kriyamaneshu guneraatmani manyate. Evam, in this way, para, other, abhidhyanena, by in, by identification, kartatvam, the performance of activities, prakrite, of the material nature, puman, the living entity, karmashu, kar, karmashu kriyamaneshu, while the activities are being performed, guna, by the three modes, atmani, to himself, manyate, he considers. Translation and purport by His Divine Sri Prabhupada. His Divine Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities, and thus, actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Purport: the forgetful living entity can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad, or to a man haunted by ghosts, who acts without control and yet thinks himself to be in control. Under the influence of material nature, the conditioned soul becomes absorbed in material consciousness. In this consciousness, whatever is done under the influence of the material energy is accepted by the conditioned soul as self-actuated. Actually, the soul is in his pure state of existence, should be in Krishna consciousness. Let me repeat. Actually, the soul in his pure state of existence should be in Krishna consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of living entity is consciousness. The material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna or the Supreme Lord as master, and by changing mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna or the Supreme Lord as master, by changing the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Volume, volume. Volume. Yeah, volume.
Yeah, that's what no one.
Is it better? Anyone on the Zoom? Can you unmute and confirm if the volume is better now?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's better.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
My volume, I keep it low, so maybe that was the reason. Yeah. जय श्री राधा गोपीचंद भगवान की जय, श्रीतापति पावन गौर हरि की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you very much for hearing. As I'm going to repeat myself, I'm not qualified, neither have any kind of realization, but subject matter expert that we have, subject matter that we are talking, that is sublime, that is pure. So that is the only qualification that we all, especially me, to be here. Okay, once again, the translation. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. Did I delete accidentally some? Okay, one thing missed. Okay, let it be. Then I'd lost all my notes. Interesting. Okay, I think one slide got accidentally deleted. Okay, Krishna, thank you. So background is that, okay. The whole thing is out of sequence, but let it be. So the background is Lord Kapila is talking to his mother, Devahuti, and giving the teachings. They're in Bhagavatam, they are known as Lord Kapila's teachings. Now, this is chapter 6, where he is talking about material nature. What's the significance of material nature, how the creation and different subjects there. So before that, before this verse, he already mentioned he established Supreme Lord. He's a controller, he's everything. And he established very clearly this is Supreme Lord. And this verse he's talking about, right before that as well, he talked about material creation, what those what Jivatma Swarup, Jivatma details are. Very, very, short. And then in this, he's expressly talking about the consciousness of Jivatma, all the living entities. And that's where he says, and he gave the characteristics very explicitly. He mentioned because of the forgetfulness of transcendental living, transcendental nature, right? In the purport, Prabhupada very nicely explained. He brings the point of, he compares Jivatma as madman, right? Anyone in India here, though, very difficult to see any madman in roaming around the street. Anyone have seen madman in India? Right? There was one person in our colony. He was maybe around 30, 40 years. That's what I remember. He's constantly murmuring something on the street, and someone come too close to him, he throw something, whatever is in hand. If he's eating something, he'll throw food, right? And all the clothes were completely black. I don't think they were originally black, but the way I remember, it was completely black. Don't know what he's doing. Sometimes he's lying on the water. The big buildings, right? Apartment complex. In India, you like big buildings, long societies, and this side road, building, and in between there's a water stagnant. You always have, and sometimes he's lying there, sometimes he's lying on the road. Absolutely no idea that person is doing, right? And that is similar situation with us. It's like, how come? We know what we are doing, right? We are nicely sitting in this beautiful building, AC is on, we have laptop, and we know what we're doing, right? But Prabhupada very intelligently connect that this is the situation of us. Why? Because our forgetful nature, right? How many of us we really remember our true identity, who we really are. Right? I'm asking, that's why I'm asking to raise hand. I'm not raising hand. I have no idea who I am. Right? Now, Prabhupada, I mean, I was listening to a class and Prabhupada's class, and he mentioned that once he visited asylum, lunatic asylum, based in Pune. So it's a true incident. And he was with his friend, and his friend's son was admitted in that asylum. And when and Prabhupada also witnessed that the son was perfectly all right. If he's dealing with anyone else, he's perfectly okay. But the moment the son sees his father, the son literally charged on his father, right? Some kind of enmity, some kind of anger, some kind of past karma, whatever it is. Even the father did not know why the son behaves like that. So son is behaving nice with everyone else, but his father, he's completely charging, right? Showing enmity, attacking, hitting, trying to hit, trying to hurt, right? Now Prabhupada compares that is the situation that we are also in. Right? With all our actions, right? We are hurting Krishna, right? What is the best joy for a father, right? I can't ask you, I can't ask him. I don't know, you're also not married. So Kishore Prabhu probably can tell. Krishna Prabhu. What is the best joy of father, right? Being a father, the best joy is, Prabhuji can also mention, when son come lovingly to the father. Or when I say son, I didn't mean literally male body. Children, whether it's a daughter, son, right? When they come lovingly towards father, that is the best joy as a father, right? And here what we are doing, right? We are forgetting Krishna. Prabhupada says, as we are making more progress in material realm, all these material invention, so-called invention, but Prabhupada said they are more of a discovery than inventing. They are not inventing anything new. They are actually finding or discovering what is already there. Right? In normal case, people talk about, when you talk about invention, people talk about aeroplane, right? Before aeroplane actually came, no one could, imagine in their wildest dream, material consciousness people, that something like that can exist, which will not fall, right? Initially, when the first flight came, everyone was scared to get on the flight. Kya hoga pata nahi, right? What would happen? But nowadays, we go in plane left and right, right? But so that was a huge invention, right? Aeroplane, and no one can think, right? But if we read our scriptures, if we see, we did not only have plane, right? We have personalities. I don't want to say had. We have personalities who travel, right? Who travel on the way of sky, Akash Marg, right? And these planes are there's a fastest communication, the mode of transport available in today's realm, aeroplane. But that also takes hours and hours to go other side of the earth, right? If you want to go India, it's close to 14-15 hours drive, fly, right? And here we have sages, right, who could fly not one side of earth to other side, but across planets in the blink of a second, right? The speed of mind they could travel, right? So when they can travel speed of mind from one graha to another graha, right? Think about earth. They could just do Pushpak Viman. Not only can fly from that speed, but it can also change its shape, size. Now I don't have to enter any code and wait for command to execute and find out error. No, it just do based on just the owner or the travelers, based on his mind, what he thinks or she thinks, it would change. Right? I don't want to digress too much there, but when Lord Ram was coming back from Lanka after victory over Ravan, he said, all the monkey, you also come, right? And they flew over Kishkinda, And Mother Sita said, what are you doing? Right? You are taking us, you are taking monkeys. What about their families? Right? Their wives, their kids, and everyone else who's in the Kishkinda or anyone who supported you. Why are you, leaving them? Right? That's an injustice. She kind of chastised Lord Ram. Lord Ram says, okay, if your heart desire, they stopped Kishkinda and they requested everyone, all different crores and crores and crores of monkey, their families to come. I mean, can you think of the size of the aeroplane? Right? So that kind of potency that we had, in our scriptures. So, whatever we are inventing is basically discovering what already have, what we already had. We just forgotten, right? So from that perspective as well. So now when we relate this verse, right, with madness, that is our situation. Now, when father is very rich and capable, right, and he's loving his child, right, the child really don't have to do much. All he has to do to enjoy the company of father, all the facilities, or everything, all they have to do is to be in align with what father is thinking. But just be obedient to the father, right? We also, as parents, understand, right, that if kid is behaving nicely, if kid want, something, we generally say yes. But if kid is rebellious, not listening, not following what we say, basic things, then say, you know what, you won't get anything, right? And that is our situation. We were very well situated with our Supreme Father, Supreme Lord Krishna, and we decided to disobey him. We developed the element of envy. We wanted to enjoy independently and separately from Supreme Lord. So Krishna says, yeah, I mean, you are my child. Krishna is, seed-giving father of every single living entity, whether they are in spiritual world or in material world or anywhere else. Right? Says that since you want to enjoy, I want to fulfill your desire. But in this setting that we have, you cannot enjoy. Right? You cannot enjoy independent of me. Because here your Swarup is true Das, servant. So I'll have to create a different world for you to be able to, feel or get a feel of sense of proprietorship. You can't enjoy anything unless you have some kind of ownership there. Right? That is why Krishna has to give that feel. Okay, you get the feel that you own something. How much ever you want, up to your free will. But in this world, which is called material world, you have the capability to own something, to have some kind of proprietorship. And that is why you will be able to enjoy. But, there's always a catch, right? Once you go there, you will be under the influence of material nature. You will forget me, right? I'll send everything for you to remember, but it's up to you to remember. Free will. You have to exercise your free will, because here you have exercised your free will to leave me, right? Not literally leave me, but create a situation that you have to leave. So there also, on your own accord, you have to come back to me. I'll give you all the facilities, everything that is needed, but it's your responsibility. And because now soul is under the influence of material nature, they forget the relation with Supreme Lord. We, talking about myself, forget the relation of Supreme Lord. Theoretically, we understand, right? But realizing is very difficult. Right? Whenever we talk about misery, we talk about in terms of 7, right? 4 problems, right? Eating, meeting, sleeping, and defending, right? Those are 4 activities that, not problems, but those are the 4 activities we do, right? And we are affected by 3 kinds of misery. What are those? Adhyatmic, Adhibhautik, and Adhidevic. So these 7 acts on us completely, right? So we are completely in circle. We keep doing all these things. Now, Prabhupada very nicely explained that these same things are done by animals as well. Eating, mating, mating, sleeping, and defending. They're done by animals as well, right? So they are not doing anything special that Krishna is providing them. They are also living happily, right? In jungle or whatever realm that they have. But we human beings take extra over endeavor to do these 4 things. Now think about it, right? Animals are being maintained. The whole food cycle is there. The only person disturbing that food cycle is us. Because we think by disturbing that cycle, we will be nicely be able to eat, nicely be able to sleep, do the sensual pleasure, right? So because we want to increase our enjoyment of these 4 things, right? We are disturbing that. So, and plus, because we are so much disturbed in doing these 4 activities, better and better and better, so-called better and better, I don't think it's getting better, right? We are affecting their as well as ours. And we are getting more and more entangled. So we are anyway forgotten, right? Now we are increasing that distance even more. If we don't connect with the right sources, right? And that's why Prabhupada brings the point, right? That one becomes liberated by accepting Krishna, and also by changing mode of consciousness from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. There are a couple of other examples given in this. In one other class I was hearing, there's a very nice pious lady in village, right? And one time, you heard that Mela. Have you heard the word Mela? It's like fair here, right? Weekend Mela, right? So lot of people, all the, lot of vendors, people, they all gathered on one weekend. In typically village, there is no concept of weekend and weekday, but for our understanding, they gathered there. And this lady started crying. He called, her son, okay, what would happen? All these people came. What would happen? We don't have enough place in this village. Even though I call all the villagers, we cannot accommodate them. We cannot accommodate them. What would happen to their sleeping? What would happen to their food, rest? How would they eat? What would they eat? Who's going to cook for it? Where would they sleep? How would make all those arrangements? Now, son says, mother, don't worry. We don't have to make any arrangement. So, no, how can you say that? They're all guests in our, in our village. Son says, mother, their arrangement will be taken care. You don't worry. You just keep doing your work. But she is just kept on crying, kept on anxious that what would happen, right? Now, day progressed. Evening came. Sun started setting. And all those vendors, all those guests, all those visitors, they packed their belonging and they went to their respective homes. Right? In one sense, this lady is crazy lady. Right? She was trying to accommodate everyone, thinking that they are here permanent. Right? But son knew that this is not their permanent place. Plus, their arrangements of all those souls are already been taken care at different places. So we also have to have the clear understanding that our arrangement, our livelihood is also being taken care properly. We don't have to worry too much. As Grasta, again, I'm not saying, as Prabhuji mentioned yesterday as well, right? When he talked about sub-religious principle, and he also talks about over-endeavor, right? It's not that we have to give up everything. Prabhuji said in the class yesterday that we have to spiritually, but we also have to plan our health as well as our financial aspects as Grasta. It's our responsibility. But the point is, doing those activities up to that extent that we are forgetting our true nature. This human life is very, very precious. That is the only junction that we have. There are different paths are going left and right. This is the only path that we have intersection where the exit is open, right? For the higher realm towards Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without this human life, there is no possibility of coming out of material cycle. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. We cannot come out. So this human life is very, very sacred. Right? We heard in different examples, right? Different classes, that someone won the lottery and he bought a very, expensive posh car, and he was a farmer, so he's trying to use that posh car to plow the fields, right? From that person perspective, it is perfectly right. Earlier, I had tractor, which was very cheap. Now I have a bigger, very expensive car. But the person who knows the details, they can understand that this is a very special car that should not be used for the low grade work. I'm not saying farming is low grade work, but in this context. So same way, there are souls who knows what our real identity is. There are souls who understand the value of human life. And those souls are helping us going back to Godhead. Okay. So I'm going to change a little. So mainly, I wanted to come to here again, because I did not have my notes, so I get little back and forth. But aim is who's real doer and who's real controller, right? So Bhagavad Gita 3.27, it says the spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself of the doer of activities that are actually carried out by three modes of material nature, right? Do we know what this verse basically in the purport we see? Prabhupada talks about three doers, right? Who are the three doers? First is Jiva, right? Second doer is material nature. And third is super soul. Now, Jiva desires and Supreme Lord sanctions. And once he sanctions, material nature executes. So, kind of three separate doers. But if we see next verse, right? That here Krishna explains in 7.12 that I am not under mode of material nature, but they are under me. Krishna owns the material nature, right? So Krishna is sanctioning and Krishna is also making it happen. So there are only two doers, if I combine that, right? Jiva and Supreme Lord. Now Jiva really don't do anything. Jiva only desires. He exercises his free will. And based on the free will, Lord sanctions and material nature executes. So Lord, Supreme Lord, is actually the main doer. Right? I'm going a little fast. And now this is mainly talk about controller. In verse and purport Prabhupada talks about, right? We living entity thinks that they are the doer. They actuate themselves that, yes, I am the one who's doing. Right? Here Krishna talks about one who meditated upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, who is the oldest, who is the controller. Right? Who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond the material nature. So here we also know, theoretically we know, right? And Bhagavad Gita also confirms, we are not the controller. Supreme Lord is controller, right? A lot of time we think we have proprietorship, we can control, right? Prabhupada, in Prabhupada era, there are a lot of people, said, right? Prabhuji also mentioning yesterday. Some said, I am God. Some says, you are God. Some says, no one is God. And some says, we all are God. Right? And Prabhupada chastised all of them. Right? Right? One time Prabhupada said that if you are God, right, in verse, okay, you should remember everything, right? God never forgets. Right? So practically, if you ask someone, what did you do exactly same time a year back? Anyone remembers what we were doing exactly 1 year back, same time? We don't even know where we were. We can guess, right? Because, okay, I'm a US mein tha, if not in India or something like that, vice versa. Forget about 1 year. What about 6 months? 1 week? Yesterday at the same time? What exactly you were doing? What exactly your thoughts were? No idea. And think about last life, previous life. 10 million life back. Krishna remembers everything. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, he very clearly mentioned, fourth chapter, when he says that I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, and Arjuna asked, okay, how come? I say, you and I have both lot of lives, right? You can't remember any, I remember all, right? So when Krishna says I remember all, he's not saying I remember Arjuna's prior life. Everyone's every life. Think about the database, the memory size of the Krishna's memory, right? So yeah, so Krishna, finally we established that who's a real controller and doer is Krishna, right? But are we actually fully convinced that Krishna is controller, Krishna is... Anyone who's fully convinced? We know, right? We established based on verses. We heard in 100 classes at least, right? But are we convinced? What is holding us back? Any thoughts? I mean, why are you not convinced?
Forgetfulness.
False ego. Free will. Right? Consciousness. Right? That is what Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. Right? The material consciousness simply has to be purified. Right? When material consciousness become purified, it become spiritual consciousness, which is, in our regular understanding, we regular terms we talk about Krishna consciousness. Spiritual consciousness is basically true consciousness. That is Krishna. Right? Krishna consciousness is the true consciousness. Right? So everywhere Prabhupada did not focus more on the activities. He focused on consciousness, the intention behind our action. Right? When we offer bhoga. Right? It's not a mechanical process, though a lot of time, I'm talking about myself, end up doing it. Arey, jaldi kar do, time nahi hai, just put chant mantra and run, thinking something else, ghadi dekh rahe, all those things are going on. That's not right. I'm not encouraging anyway. But important aspect there is, we have to consider the intention. What we are offering, why we are offering, what is our state of mind when we are offering. Right? When we are doing any service, what is the intention of doing that service? Are we doing that service to actually as our service, as my service, or I'm doing it to show off, see, I can do it. I do it better than you, better than anyone else. If I'm making something, I want people to see and they glorify me, right? I want people to know that I did service. This is what I made, this is what I offered. See how pure, how elevated I am, that I'm doing this service. Now, I get up there pretty much every function, right? Mike, I know what my consciousness is. A lot of time I want to go there because I want people to see, I'm an important person. I have mic in my hand, right? Not saying it's right. Still trying to work on that. But a lot of time, we don't do the service in the right consciousness. We have to somehow cultivate. That will be a step towards, purifying ourselves. And I was listening to a couple of classes, and this verse came, and I had beautiful talks of, from Radhanath Maharaj as well. One who works in devotion, whose pure soul, who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Right? In the purport, Prabhupada very nicely explained, right? If someone works for Krishna, I mean, basically, whole question comes, right? That if we are in material consciousness, how we can purify ourselves and come to the spiritual consciousness, the Krishna consciousness. So this verse little bit talks about it. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is consider himself servant to all, right? And if he's serving nicely, he's pleasing others, right? And because everyone's satisfied by his work, he's pure in consciousness. So basically, it works both ways, right? There are things which, when you do something wrong, your desire to do something wrong increases. So you do more wrong, right? That's vicious cycle. Same thing applies in spiritual consciousness as well. If you do something nice in the right consciousness, right, you please others, and when they get pleased, they bless you, right? Because when you're pleasing devotees, you're pleasing a spiritual master. When a spiritual master is getting pleased, I'm talking about grand disciple of Prabhupada, that level, then Prabhupada gets pleased, and Prabhupada pleases, his mercy, flow through, then our consciousness gets purified. So we do even better, right? So they get even more pleased, and we get even more mercy. So just by working for Krishna with right intention and pleasing devotees, we can keep increasing, keep purifying our consciousness. Very simple, right? I mean, logically, it's very simple. Right? We just have to have the right attitude towards it. Right? So Prabhupada, also mentioned that because everyone is satisfied by his work, he's pure in consciousness. Because he's pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is completely controlled, he's able to control his senses. Right? And if his senses are controlled, right, what is the chance of him falling down? Right? Because think, your senses are purified, your mind is purified, you're pleasing others, devotees are pleased with you, spiritual master is pleased with you, Prabhupada is pleased with you, and because of that, Krishna is pleased with you. And when Krishna shower his blessings, whatever form it may be, right? Krishna's blessings are in a total different level, right? So sometimes we realize that it's Krishna's mercy, sometimes we realize it's Krishna's slap. But that's also a mercy. We just have to have the clear understanding that whatever Krishna is doing, first of all, whatever is happening in our life is done by Krishna. Agreed? He's in full control. Nothing can happen without Krishna's will. And we also understand that Krishna is our loving Father. Can we relate that? Whatever is happening in Krishna's will. Whatever Krishna does is to help us. Krishna is waiting more eagerly than we can ever try to go to him. Right? Prabhuji also mentioned yesterday. Krishna's eagerness is multifold, right? He talked about the Vithal's G's statue, right? He's like, when he's going to come, when he's going to show up, when he's going to knock my door, when he's going to turn towards me, right? So Krishna is controller. Krishna is our well-wisher. So whatever is doing, it's happening with Krishna's will. So it means whatever is happening is good for us. Very easy to say, right? Fighting, if we are getting into, that is also Krishna's will. Some of our karmas are getting exhausted. That is what we have to consider. That is what we have to believe. That is we have to live by. If we do that, it's just matter of time. It's just matter of time. And, I was, Bhagavad Gita is an 18th chapter, Krishna's support towards living entity keeps on increasing as the last verses comes, right? Example given is like your friend, like say you accidentally fell in the well, right? So your friend throws a rope, right? And say, hold the rope and climb up. I'm holding the rope from the top, you climb up. Here we are living entity. Too difficult. I don't have that much strength. I cannot, climb up. Say, okay, you hold on to the rope, right? I will pull you up. Good. Don't have strength. I cannot hold on. Say, Are Baba, take the rope, tied around your waist. I will pull you. Right? That is how the Krishna's mercy comes if we are just open to receive it. We literally have to do nothing. Right? If at all we are pleasing devotees, Krishna will pull. Krishna have no shortage of giving mercy. He has abundance. Right? It's up to us how much we are ready to receive. It's like, whole, you can cure your, it's like someone standing under the Niagara Fall, right? There's no shortage of water. Whatever your pot is, size, whatever you can collect, right? If someone takes a big pot and keep it upside down, it's not Niagara Falls' fault, right? When we close our eyes and we turn our backs toward Krishna, it's not Krishna's fault that we are not getting his mercy, right? I'm being that is, because one of the point that Maharaj mentioned is, also Prabhupada mentioned that if something happens good in our life, हमने किया, right? We get a prize, we get an award, हमने किया. If we get something wrong, क्या भगवान, मैं ही मिला था. If I was the only one that you look for this problem. उसको नहीं हुआ. Everyone, traveled from this part 20 times, 50 times. Only my tire had to, flat. We do that, right? Unknowingly, we blame on Krishna. Sometimes we say, okay, Bhagwan ki iksha. But internally, सोच रहे हैं, क्यों किया? Right? Because I'm talking about myself, we don't see the bigger picture there. Yeah, there are multiple stories, right? Someone tried to do bad and they thought it's bad, but it basically come back as a good for them. So there are multiple examples. 9:16. So all I'm trying to say is, based on all the lecture I heard, based on little understanding that we have, Prabhuji's classes, everything. If at all we are ready, we do our part, we can go to Supreme Personality of Godhead in this very lifetime. Everything is given by Krishna. We do not have to search very hard to find spiritual master. We do not have to fast, 10 days or travel across to find the right spiritual master. Like Advaitacharya, he fasted when he could not understand meaning of one verse. Ramanujacharya had to travel and stayed there for 6 months to understand the meaning of Sarvdharman Pratyaja. So we did not have to do anything. We are not doing anything. Everything is given to us in a silver platter. Literally. There are devotees who are knocking the door. Prabhuji, chant kar rahe ho, are you reading? Are you serving? Are you hearing? We have the whole setup done. We have the senior Vaishnavas we can take guidance from. We have mentors we can take guidance from. We have spiritual masters. We have scriptures. All the information we have on our fingertips. It's all up to us, talking to myself, how we can utilize it. If we put right endeavors, Krishna is just literally waiting. We have to know it. We have to believe it fully from faith. Krishna is just waiting for us to just turn our head towards him the right way. Right? He's ready to pave all the way, removing every single obstacle that we can even think of. Right? He's giving us Tulsi Maharani worship, right? All the sins can be eradicated, right? We chant when we do parikrama, Yani Kani Chapa Pani, right? All the sins, even the Brahmatya, can be removed, right? One time we were talking about, casually talking to Eagle Kishore Prabhu or something, and talking about some karma kanda. Prabhuji looked to say, hey, we don't have to worry about, right? 3 drops of offering, 3 drops of water offering to Tulsi and parikrama, all the sins can be removed. With so firm conviction, like he's casually, don't worry about it, it's gonna get done. It's like, so see the faith the senior devotees have. I'm not able to come regularly for Tulsi Arti, but whenever I take parikrama, that thought is in my mind that this is the benefit of the parikrama that we casually does sometime, right? So in this very lifetime, we have full opportunity to go back. It's all up to us. Right? Everything is given. Everything is there. How much ever we take, how much sincere we are in our sadhana, how much sincere we are in not committing Vaishnava aparadh. Right? Multiple senior people say that don't have to do too much. Just follow your sadhana and don't offend any devotee. Rest all Prabhupada has promised that he will do. Right? So, and we have many examples, right? Prabhupada disciples. And the deathbed, they saw Prabhupada. When the time for them to leave, they saw Prabhupada. And they told all other people that I see Prabhupada. He's standing there. He's waiting for us. Right? Especially when I always remember Maharaj's class, and he talked about Bhakti Di Swami Maharaj, that he said that Prabhupada is there. He did not lie. Prabhupada is there waiting for me. Right? Think about the time that we would have that kind of consciousness. Talking about again myself. And one of the quote that I remember from His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj, he says, I may be missing exact wording. She would remember that if we will roll on the dust, if at all we understand what Krishna has given us, what is waiting for us this side. We roll in dirt with ecstasy. Krishna is waiting for us. Right? So please bless me that one day, whatever I spoke, I actually realize and act upon it. With that thought,
I have a quick question.
Prabhu,
Let me ask you. So question is that
see, I requested for correction and comments.
Lord, Supreme Lord is a controller, is a maintainer, is an enjoyer, and of course relate to Krishna is not possible for conditioned soul like me. So relating to his spiritual master, because I've seen spiritual master. So if you want to realize someone's power, if you want to realize someone's qualities, the first thing is you have to depend. Like you see Krishna and Vrindavan, he perform. Let's leave Vrindavan, even as a Supreme Lord, he killed so many demons. Or he protected his devotees. Like simple example, Govardhan here. Because all the Gopals and Gopis, they trusted him. So then he could perform that pastime. When Krishna said, come here, they said, no, we have no faith. Then the pastime was not as happened. And of course, that's bringing to a lower level of consciousness. So if you want to see Guru's divinity, Guru's power, you have to depend. So how to depend? I feel, when I was doing Aarti today, I was feeling like when I first came to Krishna consciousness, naturally, the instant simplicity is there, the dependence is there. But now I feel like I have become so crooked that I'm not dependent and become not simple anymore. I'm thinking I'll make advancement, no problem. So that dependence is not there to spiritual mass. How to depend on develop the dependence?
Good question, Prabhu. And what is the answer? Prabhu, okay. First of all, if I even try to answer your question, it will be like I'm showing, small Kim Tamata lamp to sun.
So please, okay,
Right.
if you say something, I'll also add something.
So your question is kind of twofold. One is how to actually be depend on spiritual master, or for that matter, anyone. And also your question is also around familiarity, because one point of time you were dependent. That's what you're saying, right? So that is a situation of me as well. Right? When I go to altar, sometime Krishna's mercy, we pray very intensely to Guru Maharaj that I'm offering behalf of you these incense, dhoop, I'm offering behalf of you. I have absolutely no qualification to even be here, because you allowed, right? I'm here, right? So please accept whatever I'm doing, purify it, right? And pass it on, right? Sometimes Krishna's mercy, that thought comes very strongly. And sometimes we actually feel, very rarely happens, but some glimpse happens. Most of the time, it's just more of a mechanical, right? When you are very, when you're doing something, you're thinking something and keep doing it, right? So I pray that Guru Maharaj, please allow me to be able to, of some, before Aarti I do, after Aarti I also pray that forgive me for all the offenses that I may have done before, during, after, right? So that is one way, which helps me pray that, don't let me, don't develop the familiarity. Lot of time I give others, if someone is there, okay, you do it, so that I don't consider ki I have full right to do anything I want, right? Sometimes if we are getting something very regularly, right, we kind of start losing the value of it. We don't actually lose the still valuable, but we have less appreciation towards what's happening to us, right? So sometimes it helps, okay, alternate. I'm not coming every week, I'm coming alternate. So that also, gap, that's okay. Mauka nahi mila, like that. So it happened a couple of times, right? There were some activities happening. And I know that if I'm in dhoti and chadar, I'll get the opportunity to go closer, right? I came and the chadar was there. I'll say, I'll come closer. Someone is going to ask me, right? Prabhuji, help karo. It didn't happen. I was completely ignored. For initially, I felt bad. Then I realized was because I am thinking I'm more connected here. Some people know me, so I'll get the opportunity. I did not try to sign up. I did not try to take permission. Prabhuji, can I help? Can I serve? Can I, take part? Because my ego said, why should I? They will, right? So then I got, okay, next time if I want to do, I have to, beforehand, I have to fold my hands and say, Prabhuji, is there a way? I have a desire to be on the altar. I have a desire to take part, whether it's Abhishek, whether it's cleaning, whatever it is. It's my desire. Can you please allow me? Right? So that taking an ego, away, it helps in that context. You don't have, so you don't have to worry about that, but that helps. So familiarity and prayer, Prabhuji, that would be mine. And now please add.
I don't know, I just feel like it's this simplicity is not with purity. So I feel like initially the dependence is kind of more kind of sentimental and kind of, but to really have that dependence, I mean, one thing is the cultivation, but the other thing is that you need that purity to actually feel it, because yeah, and yeah, mercy of the devotee. Those who are very simple or very humble, like you said, they don't have to do anything, but the one thing, the simple, humble mode, that is not. So, you associate with devotees who are very simple, very humble, really they are crying for mercy, for simplicity. Then this kind of mood will come to depend. Like I remember, it was very nice. Initiation Sri Radha Maharaj gave in gave Silicon Valley. I saw that video. I didn't see the full video. I just saw one. It's so, I mean, it's so amazing. Like the Guru Parampara, even if you watch like 1 minute, that 1 minute they'll convey what you need to know. So Maharaj said on statement, he said something like surrender is ecstatic. And then he said, does it make sense? And devotee said, yes, it makes sense. And then, like Maharaj, now it's like he gave the face of super soul. I've seen Maharaj, he gave the face of super soul. It means he knows what is going on completely. So he's like, yes, theoretically we know. And it's very obvious practically don't know. So yeah, it's a matter of realization and it's like like this doubting tendency is always there. The way the doubting tendency develops is Guru says, well, if you chant 16 rounds, if you do this, you'll attain this. So maybe sometimes we feel it and we don't feel, we ask questions. Does this really work? And then that's okay. I mean, if you ask that question and then you clarify, it's okay. But then it goes into doubting. It's a very subtle thing. So in the wall of unflinching faith, you start making holes. So that's how eventually the faith is not unflinching. The faith is questioning, the faith is thinking, the faith is considering, analyzing. So then the force, the mercy is embedded in the instruction is gone actually. You lose that. So now you don't see any of that. You don't see the mercy. You don't feel the mood. Just the instruction is a bare, and naturally the instruction is a bare way. It's very boring. Like for example, if you come to Mangalarati, just for example, I mean I know you would do Mangalarati every day, but I mean come to Mangalarati, and it's like okay, come. But then if you're simple, humble, you can see like the divinity in that instruction and the feeling in that instruction, and then that becomes very attractive. So there's a whole difference between a disciple and normal person. A disciple or a surrendered soul, you can see the divinity in Guru's instruction. You can see the feeling in Guru's instruction. But a rebellious conditioned soul like me, a normal person. That's why the meaning of seeing Guru is an ordinary person, mundane person. So when sometimes when we hear that, we think like, oh, God, how can you do that? This is me. I have a mundane vision because my faith is not unflinching. Therefore, mundane, doubting. If you don't have simplicity, humility, your vision is mundane to some extent or the other in material consciousness. So therefore, then your faith becomes it's not unflinching anymore. And so then, before even we started following instruction, it's already doubting the instruction. So following is the out of vision. And even if you do follow, yeah, it will be just, I guess, for the sake of following. Hence,
It can happen for a short time, but person like you, it will get back right away. Because you have so much mercy and faith both. Right? Faith, good. You please everyone, Prabhu, so you don't have to worry about it.
Simplicity and humility, although it sounds very simple, but those commodities are very rare. And those people who have that, they progress very quickly, very quickly. And they are never ever morose. They're always happy, they're always inspired, enthusiastic next step. So my hope is the association of such devotees for a very simple and very humble, not having this crooked nature. Like Vatsalya Thakur said that better to take birth in any other species of life rather than be in the human species and develop.
It's very heavy.
So yeah, please bless me that I can develop that simple humble. I don't have it. If I found the one,
All I can do is we can pray for everyone, each other. That's the only thing we can. Who can bless you, bro?
So you can ask online at any
Shyam Kishore Prabhu is asking, is there any question online? He would be helping and answering. Yes. Prabhuji, please pay attention.
Thank you for the class, Prabhuji. It was nice. I know you feel humbled by it, but person speaking on the Vyasa is allowing Vyasadeva to speak through him. So that's my meditation.
That's the only hope.
So in the purport, I was talking about this control consciousness versus the Krishna consciousness. And I was thinking back to the seminar yesterday about the double standards sort of talking, and how, and I was thinking from them about how sometimes, and I see it myself, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, I want to do this activity, and it is very much Krishna conscious. It is very much focused about pleasing Krishna. But I don't tell people, not because I don't think, not because I want to hide my bhakti, right? Because we're told we should protect our bhakti. But it's more from the fact that I don't think the devotees will understand it, because that's for Krishna. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on that, because on the one side, it's like the consciousness is primarily Krishna conscious. Maybe there's some very deep-rooted material thing involved. I can't see that. And I'm not thinking about it at all. And I'm thinking, okay, it has to be Krishna conscious, because it's the activity is Krishna conscious. There's some things there.
Yeah, happens to pretty much, if I'm understanding your question right, there are some action that you are doing, they are they're fully aligned with Krishna consciousness activity, right? But you're not telling upfront to your non-devotee friends that this is what you're doing. Am I reading your question right? Or
Yeah, it's like,
and then you're kind of struggling inside whether it's
like
right or wrong.
activity, everything is Krishna conscious, but then there's something about it that I feel devotees will not understand. You know, it's
Devotees
like,
won't understand.
with that thought process in my mind, there's a hint that, okay, if I'm saying devotees aren't going to understand, then that basically means I know there's something wrong. But
That's a nice barometer, but I mean, without going to too much specific as to what situation is, because these kind of, this thought depends upon what specific situation and with specific circumstances that we are talking, what the actual thought is, what actual surroundings are. But generally, first, it helped me that I know I'm not pure, right? So whatever I am doing, so I consider myself, I'm the completely lowest, right? So whatever I am doing, Krishna is allowing me, that's a step forward. So if I know what I am doing and I watch kind of my intentions, that is it 100% pure or at least a level pure, then I have no problem doing it, because still a step forward. I realize that when I get to too much logic, right? Earlier, let's say I was 80% sure. Now, overanalyzing it, I'm now 50% sure. If I overanalyze it, I'm less than and I won't even do. It don't help. Especially if it is related to some kind of service. Then it's given, like, kuch bhi hai, I have to do. Agar, something like that. But something like I'm voluntarily taking, then I watch my intention. If I think for a pause, like, okay, watch, why am I doing it? It helps. Sometimes it does happen that, devotees may not understand. Beforehand itself, that someone may get the wrong idea. So immediately evaluate, do I really care at that time? Or do I really want to do what needs to be done? And sometimes you have to step back. Okay, devotees will think bad, step back. Sometimes you ignore that and try to clarify, opportunity given to you. Or just pray to Krishna that this is what I think I am doing. Rest you handle. And after that, when I tell, I don't think about it. Because when you give your headache or load to someone who is more capable of handling it, he knows how to manage it. And then, okay, that's his task. He'll handle. And then I move out. Sometimes it works very nicely. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'm doing in kind of Maya that, just to sake of, but sometimes it really helps. That I did my part, Krishna, and I asked, okay, I'm doing, like, sometime, I had to, I don't know why I donated someone money, was driving, signal someone, on the intersect. I mean, I think from ramp we come out and there's a signal, always have to wait. There's someone standing, and somehow I felt compassionate. I told the kids that I'd never do, somehow because of weather, because of situation, because of age, I felt compassion. right? And I checked, there was no food in my car, right? Generally speaking, you should offer prasad if you have something, right? Try to avoid giving Lakshmi, right? Still don't know why. That one time I had $1 and I know I had $1 in my pocket. Thought came to me and I decided to give. I rolled my window down. I looked at him. That person started walking me. And when he started walking, I realized I should not do that. Because that whole thought came, right? That what if he used sound just $1? Just $1. But thought, what if he does for something wrong? I'm not supposed to do that because that's a clear instruction. You don't give money. Especially I don't know that person. I don't know what he's going to be using. I don't even know whether I'll see that person again. Right? So completely in mode of ignorance. The charity is completely in mode of ignorance. Then I immediately prayed, somehow that Krishna, I know I'm not supposed to do it, but because I started, I am giving. Please, help this person utilize this money in the right consciousness. Right? And please forgive me for doing what I'm doing without thinking. I gave and then I did not look at the person. I just said, okay, I don't want to go through that mental state again. So similar thing, right? Sometimes just offering prayers. I'm not saying in the name of prayer you do anything and then keep offering it. That's a offense, right? Seventh offense, right? Seventh offense, right? Committing sinful activity in the strength of holy name. That's not what I'm suggesting. But sometimes prayer helps. At least that load is off my head. If at all karma have to come, they will come. But at least I won't think about it. At least sometime that helps. And I remember when, one time Rajanam, a lot of people were introducing themselves. I am this, I am this, I am that. Maharaj says, my name is this and I'm prayer. All I do is pray. Right? So having that and then overall the praying helps. Asking forgiveness helps. And really, I don't know whether I get the karma or not, or got the karma or not. I have no idea. But I know that I asked Krishna, not ordered, but requested that please intervene and do something about this. The rest all is this. All we can do is ask, right? Request. That's up to his. Whatever he does is we have to accept it. Simple. I try to keep things simple, Prabhu. Dada, it's not overcome. We are not capable of overanalyzing it. I mean, at least I am not. Simple. Basics. So, I don't know whether I answered your question clearly, but
Yeah. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Forgive me
Krishna,
for
Prabhuji.
all the offenses I may have committed, arrogance or whatever. Please.